the people that treat you good, you're going to treat good back. Mm-hmm. And if we just reversed ourselves instead of thinking just as the customer and think of, well, what can I do for the vendor or the supplier's business? How can I help them so they're hitting their numbers and they're growing? I'm telling you, when a hiccup comes up or an issue comes up, they will do everything for you. You treat them right, they'll treat you right. Welcome to the Royal Flush Podcast. My name is John Overy, the VP here at Royal Flush. In this podcast, we cover the ever-growing ins and outs of our state-of-the-art pipelining company. In this episode, we talk about an old adage and a phrase, do not put all your eggs in one basket. We talk about what that means to us here at Royal Flush. I vehemently disagree with that phrase in so many different factors. So have a listen. I think you'll enjoy the analogies I make, our perception and my view on don't put all your eggs in one basket, and love to see what you think. Have a listen. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the Royal Flush Podcast. I'm Kyle McShane, as always, joined by John Overy. So today's episode, I think, is very much geared around the phrase, don't put all your eggs in one basket. That'll probably be the title of this episode. Mm-hmm. Pretty vague, but we were having a conversation yesterday, and that phrase came up. I forget exactly how. And you said you completely disagree with it as it pertains to business.
Yeah.
So I think this episode is going to be kind of talking about that stance, because obviously we talk about our company on this podcast, but also certain situations where that phrase may be applicable and certain situations where it may not.
Yeah.
So what's your thought process on put all your eggs in one basket when it comes to business?
Okay. So when I think of the phrase, don't put all your eggs in one basket, to me, it is wrapped around and infused in fear. Okay. It's the fear or the afraidness or what could happen if I fully committed to situation A and B happened. Then I would be screwed. I'd be shit out of luck. I would be down, wouldn't do more slogans or snail, be down the creek without a paddle, right?
Okay, yep.
And so I try not to operate with fear. That doesn't happen with everything in life, but I've realized that the more you're afraid of something, that just means you should figure out and you should actually do it. Mm-hmm. So, to me, in business, I really think of partnerships and people who you align with in your business life, right? So whether that's for us, certain subcontractors, whether that's specifically, it really hits home to me about our relationship with our vendors. Mm-hmm. And in my various walks of life, I've heard many different contractors say, I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket with one vendor. I want to diversify because maybe if they don't have something in stock, or maybe I can't get the best price from them, or what if the product changes, right? This is thinking of, well, I eat 50% Burger King and 50% McDonald's. If I'm going to get a fast food burger, I never just go to one place.
Okay.
To me, that is absolutely ridiculous. I couldn't think of anything crazier in my life or think of the rhyme or reasoning why not to put all your eggs in one basket. And here's why. Business is about relationships, no matter what it is that you do, Kyle. Whether you are a pipeliner, a plumber, a drain cleaner, guy who builds decks, the largest general contractor in the world, a real estate developer who does billions, it doesn't matter. Any form of business or retail store, it's about relationships, okay? In my opinion, the way to forge that relationship forward and to build on it and get the most out of the vendor, customer, or any relationship is to truly be invested and to be all in. Without a doubt. So my view is, if you're going to be a vendor, we've used the landscaping analogy, okay? Bob's Outdoor Equipment. Mm-hmm. I really feel that instead of buying half of your tools and equipments and lawnmowers and rakes from Bob's and Steve's, if you went all in with Bob and really fused a true, strong business relationship and negotiated pricing and explained to them what you needed for service and value, and that they delivered and met your expectations, there would be no reason to go across the street to Steve. Because Bob is going to treat you better, your relationship's going to get stronger, thus when you need something, you can lean on that, have a conversation, and that person most of the time will deliver for you. Where if you're just splitting it half and half, what's the allegiance of Bob to you? Why is he going to go above and beyond for you? You got to look at, right? I try to look at things from both sides of perspective. Don't be selfish to you. Don't be selfish as just the customer. You want from the vendor. You want from the supplier, right? Mm-hmm. Well, guess what? The supplier's got business to do too. Why are they going to give you the best price if you don't buy all the merchandise from them?
Yeah.
Why are they going to give you the best service they can when there's another customer who does buy everything from them and they buy twice as much? They're going to service them better.
Definitely.
Right? Mm-hmm. So it works both ways. You got to look at, hey, what do you want from me and what do I want from you and how can we meet in the middle? And if that means me committing my business to you under these circumstances, well, if I commit 100% of my business, I need this type of service, this type of communication, and this type of inventory. Mm-hmm. Because what I can't afford and my fear is that you don't have something I need. And as the vendor, you can say, well, John, tell me what that looks like. How do you do your ordering? When do you get your supplies? Can you give me plenty of notice, right? And you set some parameters. And at the end of the day, I promise you're probably going to get better value and price. Mm-hmm. You're going to have more consistency. You're going to know how they work. They're going to know how you work. And it's going to be this synergy and infusion in this business relationship. And it will be better for everybody. Mm-hmm. To me, it just boggles my mind to buy half my stuff from one place and half the other. I don't think it makes any sense. Yeah,
and you mentioned, if company A buys from vendor A more frequently than company B does, there's a little more. This is the type of service I want.
Yeah,
you get it's a perfect push and pull because even on the business side, as a vendor or supplier, you're going to cater to the people that spend the most money with you. That's just it's customer retention.
We'll use the Cheers analogy. Now, Kyle, you're a little young pup. You've probably never watched the show Cheers. I'm assuming no.
I don't even think I've heard of it.
You have never heard of Cheers?
Listen. I am very ignorant. When it comes
my God!
To
well,
stuff like that.
Anybody else listen to this is Cheers, and in the show, when Norm walks in, the first thing. So Cheers is the bar where everybody knows your name.
Okay.
You know the jingle where everybody knows your name. Mm-hmm. Okay. When he walks in, the first thing everybody does is go, Norm! Because he's there every single day. Everybody knows him. Before he sits down, there's a beer that he likes poured ready to go for him.
Okay.
Norm has put all his drinking eggs in the Cheers basket. Now, if Norm just went to a different bar every day of the week, he would walk in and they wouldn't know him. He'd have to go to the counter. Maybe he wouldn't get his preferred seat. Norm sits in the same spot at the bar every day. That's Norm's seat. Nobody else sits there.
Okay.
They know what Norm's order is. They know what his choice is. They know what jokes he likes. If he just goes in there, he's not going to get the preferred seat. He's not going to get served before he even sits down. And he's not going to build these relationships with everybody there. That basically is Norm's family. Mm-hmm. Norm has put all his eggs in that basket, and look what he's gotten out of it.
Yeah.
A TV show. Okay? That's just the analogy. Mm-hmm. Just don't, if you do something consistently, you can build the relationship and put all your eggs in and get way more out of it than you did before.
Definitely. I think that's, and obviously as little information as I have about the show, sorry if that ruffled any feathers, I think that's a perfect analogy. The more allegiance you give to a business, the more you'll get back in return.
Yep.
Hence why it's beneficial to not kind of play both sides of the fence. You mentioned yesterday when we were talking about this analogy, you used the example of your experience from the paint world. Mm-hmm. And if you were going to buy paint, you're not going to buy half of it from Sherwin-Williams, half of it from Ben Moore. And so actually, I guess my question is, have you seen something like that in your
all the time
background? Yeah.
I would have many customers who would like a specific product, or they would give me that same story. I do half and half because of whatever, and it's, I think that they really feel that way. I don't think they're making it up. I obviously disagree with it, but to me, you're just coming up with an excuse. That's not a real reason why you buy half. Like, say you don't like certain things. Okay. Say that you don't, I don't think the service I'm getting is there. But just to be like, because, I don't want there to be any issues, or like, sometimes you run out. Like, well, that's life. Like, that's not the reason why you're buying half the material from one way or another.
Yeah. And
a lot of those decisions are made on price. It's like, well, if you buy $20,000 from me and $20,000 from Ben Moore, okay? Or any vendor, $20,000 from vendor A, $20,000 from vendor B, your business spends $40,000 a year on material, supplies, and equipment. I could almost guarantee you that if you put all your eggs in one of those vendors' baskets, you would be able to negotiate a better price, build a better relationship, and at the end of the year, probably spend less than the $40,000 combined. So, for instance, in the paint world, if I got $20,000 of new business from a customer, I could probably do a bulk volume discount price
Yeah.
And thus, at the end of the year, probably really only net them to spend 35.
Yeah.
But in order to get that discount, I need the commitment from the business. I need the relationship. I need to learn more about what you're doing every day so I can service you better. Not just seeing you randomly and I didn't know you were coming. I didn't know you needed that product. So yeah, I'm out of stock of it. But if you're in here every day and we're communicating about, hey, Kyle, what's the next job's coming up? Oh, you've got that kind of exterior. It's a funny color. It takes a special base. Well, I'll tell you, do you have the color? Well, let me get it in stock now for you. I want to make sure that you don't run out and there's no hiccups with any inventory. Oh, wow, yeah, that makes sense. It's a bright yellow color,
Yeah.
right? See how that synergy works. When Norm walks in the bar, they know what he needs. Hey, Norm, I'm never going to run out of your Miller Lite, man. You're here every day. I'm going to make sure I have beers for you no matter what. Norm comes in on a random Tuesday once a month. Truck's delayed, Norm. Got no Miller Lights. Would you think about Light instead? Right? That would never happen.
Yeah, and it's those relationships that you do kind of slowly build. You use your paint example. You walk in and, the rep might be like, oh, you said you're doing this, this, and this. Those are the conversations you're probably not having if you're, 1 week on here, 1 week off there.
And like I said, to me, it all goes back to the personal relationship. Because if you're consistently in every day or communicating or buying more consistent materials from anybody, you're going to inherently get to know on a personal level those people better. Vice versa. They're going to get to know you better and you're going to get to know them better. And what happens when a hiccup comes up and it's a friend opposed to a stranger? You're going to do everything in your power to either rectify or make sure that doesn't happen for your friend who you've built a relationship with. So let's just say an inventory issue, right? We're buying something from one of our suppliers. I call them, they're like, John, there was a big delay in the shipment. We just don't have it. Like, okay, well, I really need it. What can we do? Okay, you know what? And this has happened. I'll tell you what. We don't have it, but we actually just sold a bunch to one of our other customers in New Jersey. I'll tell you what. This is the vendor saying, I'll reach out to that customer. Say you bought 1,000, whatever. Do they need the 1,000? Hey, could you ship 200 to Royal Flush and they'll just pay you for it? And let's just take some of their inventory. Like, hey, I'll help. Like, let's figure it out. If I didn't have a relationship with them, they'd be like, hey, you know what the answer is? Sorry, I don't have it in stock. I'll let you know when it's here.
Yeah, exactly.
On to the next.
And you use the word friends, but I feel like it doesn't even need to be that deep as far as the relationship rooted. A loyal customer is a loyal customer.
Yes.
Someone like a Norm.
Yep.
You become a Norm at a Sherwin-Williams or a Royal Flush, I guess. It's that business relationship.
Yes, you will do anything to solve a problem for Norm because Norm continues to come and give you business time and time and time and time and time. And hopefully Norm's a good guy. He's not a jackass to deal with, right?
Yeah.
So that's a big part of it too. But Norm's coming in, man. He's given all of his work to us. I greatly appreciate that. The vendors growing their business. This is what they need. They're going to do everything in their power. They're going to jump through hoops and try and solve any problem that comes up that's involved with Norm. No, technically, yes, we should be doing that with everybody, but that's not how the world works.
Yeah.
The people that treat you good, you're going to treat good back. And if we just reversed ourselves instead of thinking just as the customer and think of, well, what can I do for the vendor or the supplier's business? How can I help them so they're hitting their numbers and they're growing? How can I be a part of that? They're going to appreciate that tenfold. And I'm telling you, when a hiccup comes up or an issue comes up, they will do everything for you. You treat them right, they'll treat you right. It's really not that complicated. To me, you can only truly achieve that by putting all your eggs in one basket.
Definitely. I think and it's kind of the effect of you scratch my back or I'll scratch yours. But also you mentioned, if I were to keep going to this guy knows, hey, I'm giving you my business 52 weeks a year. The financial side of things, a bulk order, that doesn't happen if you're 1 foot in, 1 foot out.
Yep.
I'm here, I'm there 1 week. Next week I'm here. So I think it's the fact that a supplier will be willing to go to bat for you if a hiccup arises, and then something like financial. I think all signs point to something like that, sticking with one company for certain needs for something like that.
I think a lot of listeners might be able to simply relate to this to their morning coffee run, which now you know how I feel about the morning coffee run. Waste of time.
Yep.
Brown water. I don't drink coffee. But there's 1,000 Dunkin' Donuts you can go to. And every single person you've ever met in your life who drinks coffee has a story of, I go to this one because they never mess up my coffee, or I walk in and they go to the drive-thru and they go, oh, hey, hon, here's your, you just want the regular? Yep, got it, all set, no worries. And it's all ready. They see you walk in, Kyle's here, make them the medium regular ice with the swirl, mocha, hoka latte, whatever. They know your order.
Yeah.
And you keep coming back. You've put your eggs in that Dunkin' basket.
Okay, yeah.
When you go to another Dunkin', what happens? You get disappointed.
You're a stranger.
You get disappointed. They don't know your order. They don't know how you like it. And I guarantee you they're going to F it up. So you find the Dunkin' that treats you right, and you return treat them right by coming and patronizing their business.
Yeah.
That's how this works. So I guarantee you, everybody who drinks coffee has a Dunkin' that they go to. And if they go every day, they probably know the people in there. You're putting your eggs in one coffee basket. So like the saying to me, when you buy things, doesn't make sense. I want to be putting all my eggs in a basket all the time and building a relationship with whoever that is, as small as it's the gas station or the coffee for $2, $3, $4, $5, as big as to the hundreds of thousands of dollars we spend with our suppliers every year at Royal Flush. I want to be all in, build a synergy business relationship, asking questions, bouncing off of them, and then when quote-unquote something happens, leveraging that relationship in the best professional business way. Say, I need you to help me out. We've got a situation here. I need some advice. I need some guidance. And thus, when you as the customer ask for that, them as the business and the supplier are going to do everything in their power for you. It works back. It's back and forth. It's back and forth. It's back and forth. And in return for them doing all that hard work for you, you're rewarding them with your business in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, which is what they're there to do. They're there to grow their business.
Exactly.
And they want and need people like us to be committed to doing business with them. So like, this is what both people want. Dunkin' Donuts want you to come in and buy the coffee.
Yep.
If you just keep coming in, they're happy. So it works perfect.
Yep.
We hope you're enjoying this episode of the Royal Flush Podcast, but I wanted to take a minute just to tell you a little bit more about what we do at Royal Flush and how we can potentially help you solve big problems when it comes to your underground sewer lines. Simply put, here's the ask. If you have any issues when it comes to a backup, a slow drain, anything going on with your pipe underneath your building, your house, your apartment complex, your hospital, anything that has to do with an underground sewer line, give us a call at Royal Flush. We'd love the opportunity to come out there, inspect your line, and potentially offer you a permanent solution to solve your problems with our state-of-the-art epoxy pipelining technology. Now back to the episode.
Switching gears a little bit, we talked about don't put all your eggs in one basket. You don't necessarily agree with that in business, but, you know, I like to say cliches are cliches for a reason.
Very true. There are times where it does make sense.
Exactly.
Yes.
So there are certain situations where don't put all your eggs in one basket. Does make a lot of sense. I was playing around with ChatGPT yesterday and basically said, give me some scenarios where, you know, give me some scenarios where the phrase don't put all your eggs in one basket apply.
Okay.
And I think some of them are on one side of the ball, some of them are on the other.
Well, you fire at me and I'll tell you my thoughts.
Let's hear your thoughts. So, investment portfolio diversification was the first one ChatGPT came up with.
I don't know anything about it. No. Yeah, so I think if you talk to whatever walk of life you are, if you talk to a financial advisor, they would say you don't want to have all your eggs in one basket.
Yep.
You want to diversify your portfolio,
Exactly.
spread that out. And I think, again, you're probably way too young for this, Kyle, but have you ever heard of Enron?
I'm over 2 today.
Okay.
I'm over 2.
Anybody probably over the age of 35 who maybe is anything interested in business, remember Enron, which is a company in the early 2000s in like Silicon Valley that was valued at like billions of dollars and had hundreds and hundreds of employees with multiple millions and billions in 401ks and investments, and the company just closed down one day. Just poof, like it was fake. It was a Ponzi scheme. The company just closed bankrupt. And so all those people who worked there for 20, 30 years and maybe had hundreds of thousands of dollars in Enron stock or Enron 401k, gone. So like
Into thin air.
say, your personal 401k account, you're 55, you have $1.5 million, and then you've worked at Enron for 30 years. This is Monday. Tuesday, you show up, the doors are locked, you check your account, it says $0. Jeez. You had all your eggs in the Enron basket.
Yep.
Your portfolio wasn't diversified enough, and unfortunately, you got royally hosed. That's what I think of with portfolio diversification.
So I've never actually heard the story about that, but obviously the phrase diversify your portfolio is very parallel with this.
To me, that is a minimization of risk.
Yes.
And basically that is a minimization of fear. Risk is usually associated with fear, right? I am risk adverse or not risk adverse? What's the right term here?
Risk adverse would be you don't like taking risks.
Okay. I am not risk adverse.
Okay.
I like taking risks.
You're
Or to me, when I look at things, the perception of the risk in my perception is usually lower than anybody else. I'm like, it doesn't really sound like that big a risk to me.
Yeah.
Right? Where you might think jumping off the curb is really risky, and I'm like, oh, it's 3 inches, so we can jump off the curb, right? So my perception of risk is usually pretty much lower than a lot of people.
Yeah.
And so I think when it comes to the portfolio in the financial world, they want to minimize the fear, minimize the risk. So if something like that happened, it's just a hit. Your portfolio went from 1.5 to 1.2. That really sucks. You lost $300,000. We're still okay.
Yeah. But so something even in the financial world, I like to call myself an avid, financial person. I just kind of like to act like I know what I'm talking about.
Sure.
So I don't know how much you know about like index funds.
Yes, I'm familiar with index
So
funds.
that's the epitome of it. It's
Yes.
just basically a grouping of X amount of companies that you're not putting too many eggs. That's the epitome of don't put all your eggs in one basket.
I think maybe we'll do another cliche of the set it and forget it. An index fund in investing is it's 100 different companies under this umbrella. That's a little bit of each, low risk, low fear, really low chance of something massive, drastically bad happening, or bad or good, honestly. You're not going to have the huge spike, but you're certainly not going to have the huge fail.
Yeah.
Steady Eddie, set it and forget it. That's an index
steady
fund.
growth.
Yep.
Eggs well spread out.
Yep.
Moving on. This is kind of what we touched on a little bit. Business revenue streams as the next example.
Oh, I completely disagree with that.
Yeah. All right. So tell me. I think we did talk about that.
Do I disagree with that?
Tell me.
I think. Okay. I think you can get to a point where you have many eggs in many baskets in any business that you do. Okay.
Okay.
But I think in the infancy stage or the growth stage of a business, we can talk about here at Royal Flush. I think, in my opinion, you should be laser focused on the thing that you're best at. Singularly focused, one egg, one basket, and get really, really, really good at that and set yourself apart from everybody else. You can make a niche and dig your hole into that market and make a stranglehold. Then from there, once you get really good at that, then I think you can start branching into other things and start getting a couple eggs in a couple baskets. If we're going to use, I don't know, you come up with an analogy that you're thinking of in that scenario.
So first thing that comes to mind as far as, and I think I mentioned to you, I listen to a lot of like Gary Vee, Alex Hormozy, that type of stuff. An analogy I heard, I forget exactly who said it, but if I gave you a big, let's say a cooler, it's huge, and I bring you 10 water bottles a day, and let's say you have 10 coolers. If I bring you 10 water bottles a day, if you pour one water bottle in that cooler or in each cooler, you're going to steadily fill up each cooler. But you're not going to get one cooler full.
It's going to take a long time.
Yeah, exactly. I forget exactly how it was worded, but I think you can kind of paint the picture of
where if you just pour all your waters in one cooler, you're going to fill it up.
If you're going 1% a day at 10 different things, you're going to progress much slower than 10% a day at one thing. So you kind of hone in, kind of zero down on that one, whether it's a revenue stream or a specific vendor. You're not kind of playing cat and mouse, going back and forth.
And if you look at a lot of amazing, even the biggest businesses in the world, they really only do one thing well.
Yeah.
So like when I think of diversify, I think of like a company like Coke. You look under their umbrella, they've got like 50 brands. But at the end of the day, that company started with Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
And they mastered that for 30, 40, 50 years before they ever started getting into smart waters and vitamin waters and flavored this and flavored that and ginger ale. That was all afterwards. Then they started branching out. They were a single beverage that they mastered and started cornering the market for 10, 20, 30, 40,
Yeah.
50 years. If they initially started and said we're the Coke beverage company and we've got 49 beverages, they probably wouldn't have been able to
Yeah.
master that.
Yeah, I think it's almost that building of brand that we talked about. There's no Coke umbrella without the empire
Yes.
of that one singular
Yep.
Coca-Cola drink at first. So that's a really good example. I like that. The next one is multiple income streams.
Okay. What do you think that's referring? Give me more of
So
a scenario.
I interpret that as, you have, let's say, investment properties. You have a side business, a lot of just multiple streams of income.
So,
investments and.
I would, yes, I agree with. Well, see, I
think that
that
was pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, I think that's. Well, let me talk it out here. I don't think the don't put your eggs all in one basket really applies to that. Yes, I think if you have the ability to create multiple revenue streams, you are doing great.
Yeah.
And that's the way you want. That's what you want to diversify. But I would say to that, at the beginning, if you're 21 years old, you know how I feel about college. I don't love college, but let's say you graduate college, and you're passionate about, I don't know, making hats. Okay, you want to get into the hat business. I would tell you, put all your eggs in the hat business first.
Okay.
And get really good at the hat business. And that anybody who has multiple streams of revenue probably really only focused on one and then got really good at that and then branched off at something else and then got good at that and then started branching off and thus they have 3, 4, 5 streams of revenue.
Okay.
So if you're 21, don't get in the hat, sock, t-shirt, underwear, shoelace business. Pick one, kick ass at it, and then when you do, you can get into your second stream of revenue. I want to do hats and socks.
Okay.
I want to do hats, socks, and t-shirts. Hats, socks, t-shirts, and shoelaces. And thus you've got your 5 streams of revenue. So it's still within there. You can only focus on really one thing at a time.
Yeah, you got to kind of zero down a little bit. Definitely just seeing multiple streams of income. I'm sure no one's going to say no to that.
Yeah.
Like you would prefer to have 5 streams of income rather than just one.
Yep.
Let's see. College applications. I know you talked about that. You also said
Oh, I hate college.
you have your stance on college.
Oh, I hate college. But yes, it would be silly. You're 17, 18 years old, smart kid. You've, in my opinion, you should only go to college. We can do a whole episode on college, Kyle. You should only go to college if you really have a passion or an idea of what you want to do.
Yeah, I agree with that.
How many kids that are 18 years old, Kyle, which was not that much long ago for you,
Weirdly, yeah.
really have a true passion or an idea of what they think they really want to do?
See, that's kind of my stance on it too. The fact that at 17 years old, you should be expected.
How can you possibly? It doesn't
insane.
make any sense.
It's insane.
It makes no sense.
However, I will say I think I'm kind of with you in the sense of not every major should be necessary to get a job in that field.
Yes.
There are very few. I will say things like the medical field,
Yes.
law.
Yeah, I think there's the big things that, in my opinion, are associated with college. Like, so if you talk to somebody who went to college in the 50s, that was a very different experience. Those were, that's engineers, doctors, lawyers, teachers.
Yep.
Very specific field-oriented. So, in 1950, if we could go back, I don't think anybody went for a communications degree, liberal art. Like, what the hell does that even mean? Like, you went
Very broad.
You went for like a specific thing, and usually an area that you knew there would be compensation appropriate with it. Unlike today's world, unfortunately. Yeah. So let's don't get off the college tangent. So yes, if you got a college application, right? You're 17, 18 years old. You're good in school. You and your family have talked about it. Maybe you got some scholarships, because I don't think you should be paying for college.
Oh yeah.
And you're like, you know what? I really want to go. Engineering really gets me going. I'm going to go into that. You would probably be silly in making a foolish decision to put all your eggs in one basket and just apply to one school. That probably wouldn't make sense. I think you're setting yourself up for failure.
No,
What would make sense is to pick, probably 3, 4, 5 schools, list them in order of what you like them in importance, and, really try and crush that application and do everything you can to really make your number one school appeal to them and hopefully get it. but have 3, 4, and 5 ready to go. Right? That's a perfect scenario
Yeah.
of definitely don't put all your eggs in one basket in a college application.
So, funny story, actually, I don't know if I've ever told you this. So, during my senior year, and I was applying to schools, and my dad was, he was out of work for, he was injured. So, basically, he had this waiver, and all my application fees, because he was out of work, were waived.
Okay.
So I could apply to any school I wanted to. I was just applying to schools for fun. I would skip class. I would go sit in the library and I would just like shoot off applications to like Cornell. I was not going to Cornell.
Sure.
No shot I was going to Cornell. But just random schools I could just apply to.
Yep.
And it was just, but yeah, I definitely agree with you in the sense of just apply to as many as possible. Because one, you might surprise yourself. Two, if you put all your eggs in one basket. If I put all my eggs in the, Brown University basket and I don't get accepted, shit out of luck.
Yep, you are out of luck.
The next one, I actually did not even see this one, but kind of hand in hand with what we were talking about yesterday, is online marketing channels. So just avenues of marketing. And I don't even think online is necessary in that phrase.
Yeah.
Just I think marketing avenues.
Don't put all your eggs in one basket. It's totally applicable to that world.
Definitely.
You because it's so untangible. It's so hard to track that you've got to do the social media and the print and the SEO and the word of mouth. You got to do it all. You can't just do one thing. Yep. So in those, I see. Yeah. So I think it's really field specific, right? So I think if you talk to a marketer, they would tell you, you never put all your eggs in one basket. Never. You talk to a business owner and somebody like us, we want to be putting our eggs in one basket.
Yeah. I agree.
So I think it's really field specific, trade specific, what your job is. But my thought and advice in life is I think if you have the ability to go all in on something, whatever it is, you give it your all, you put all your eggs in that basket, you're going to get more out of it with whatever you're doing than if you just halved it.
100%.
Right?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think, especially here with our marketing, like we talked about, I think it's great going balls to the wall with one thing, but we have also mentioned how we kind of dip our feet in these certain avenues where, like you said, print, SEO, social media. I think we're doing a good job of spreading out our eggs, but also putting a lot of eggs in a lot of baskets.
Well, see, what we're doing is we're doing both, Kyle. We're going all in and putting all our eggs in the marketing basket.
Okay.
Within that basket, we're making sure that we do the couple different things.
Yep. Okay.
So what we're not doing is not half-assing the marketing. Right? So we're not just like, I'll just do one of the two things, Kyle. We actually have all our eggs in one basket. We have all of our eggs in the marketing basket, and we are focused. We got the blinders on, and we're focused. Within those eggs in that basket, we know we've got these areas we got to check off, and we're diversified.
Okay.
Right? So I would tell you, we do all have all our eggs in the basket.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. All right. So the next one, retirement planning. Now, I am the farthest away from that at this company. So as far as retirement planning goes, I don't have too much of an opinion, nor do I think mine has any, holds any leverage. So what are your thoughts on?
I think it's the same thing as the, the money and the diversification. It's the same type of thing.
Yeah.
But I think you've got to, when you start getting to that age, you've got to figure out which way you think is going to be your quickest or best stream of future income to retire.
Okay.
And I think you would go in on that. I think, for me, real estate is going to be my biggest provider of retirement income.
Okay.
And so, in my own little way, I am all in on real estate investing in accumulating properties to get passive income to provide and sustain for me when I get older.
Okay.
My eggs are in that basket.
Definitely.
I don't know anything else besides that. I have 401k. It's fantastic. It's doing great. That's kind of a set it and forget it.
Yep, definitely.
So what I can control in my retirement, I'm not doing, any buying and selling on E-Trade. I don't know anything about that. I don't really know or have any other way besides what I'm doing here at Royal Flush and my knowledge about real estate. I am all eggs in one basket on real estate as my revenue stream for retirement.
Okay. So I think, and you had some answers that were kind of to the effect of that as well. More so, don't put all your eggs in one basket at first, but find out which basket is worth putting the most eggs in.
Yep. 1,000%.
Okay.
1,000%.
That was the last thing, or the last piece of examples ChatGPT gave me. But I think that right there is kind of a good theme of the episode, and kind of things we've been harping on is, don't put all your eggs in one basket, but when you see, a basket that's glowing, gold and a rainbow's coming out of the basket, maybe start putting your eggs in that basket a lot more.
Most definitely.
Definitely.
And when you focus, I think the theme of this is when you go all in on something, you're going to get way more out of it. And I think there's more things in life that we probably can go all in on and put more of our eggs in a basket than we realize. And that phrase is bred in fear. And don't be afraid to go all in on something.
Okay.
And you're going to get way more out of it.
I like that.
Yeah. Let's wrap it up there.
I think that's a good place to end. Thank you, everyone, for watching. And make sure to like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. And we'll see you guys next episode.